Hello, Rooster Teeth fans. Welcome to another episode of Rooster Teeth Reviews here on AfterBuzz TV. Tonight, we have something special for you guys. It is the RWBY Shipping Spectacular. You literally asked for this. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I can't even contain my fangirl joy. Oh my gosh, this day has finally come. And now you all are subjected to it. And it's this one. Yeah, we should probably, before we start, everyone issue an apology to that side of the table, because Mark is being the bigger person here and is allowing us to do this.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. Hey,
Mark's just gonna pretend he's not here for the whole episode.
That's none of what.
Spearmint. Oh.
What shipping? That's none of my business. Hey there, Rooster Teeth fans. Welcome to another episode of Rooster Teeth Reviews. As we said at the top of the show, tonight is the RWBY Shipping Spectacular, where we are going to be breaking down all of our favorite and least favorite ships, guys. It's gonna be a party. But before we get started, let me introduce my fantastic panel. To my left, Stacey Shuttleworth.
Hey guys, I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stacey Shuttles.
And to her left, Mark Donica.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. I'm the internet's Mark B. Donica. I'm on Twitter at Mark B. Donica.
Sadly, Katie Cullen could not join us tonight, but you guys can follow her on Twitter at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet.
No, but you got there.
I got there
You're
eventually.
just so focused on the shipping,
Yup.
you can't think straight.
I can't.
No.
And I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. Guys, if you want to go ahead and give your thoughts, we've got you covered here on the live chat. But also, we are going to be keeping an eye on the hashtag RTReviews. So please, please, please go ahead and send us all of your fan art, all of your questions, all of your favorite ships. We want to know what you guys have to say when it comes to shipping.
So I know Malachroma has binders.
Oh, no. You want to talk about, like, comprehensive list? Before we got started, Stacey put a link in the Discord.
I saw that.
It exists and it's beautiful.
It's this glorious spreadsheet of just RWBY ships.
It's so great.
I have never seen anything more comprehensive.
Really quickly, shout out to Joel Gutman in chat who says, do the AfterBuzz TV producers know what you're doing? Or did you just say, don't worry about it, it'll be a very interactive show?
We have news. We have news to talk about. We're professional here. In fact, I'm gonna prove it, guys. Let's talk about some news before we get into the nitty gritty.
God.
Mark has rejoined the show.
Hey, I didn't see you there. It's time for news.
Mark, should I just leave this to you for right now?
Well, what do we want to start with?
Let's start with Nomad.
Yeah, so we got a glimpse of. This was a lot. This is the first time we've seen we've had a character identified, and we have an idea of what the style is going to be. So that first picture that you have there, Steve, of Toth, go ahead and pop that up there. And it's kind of like if Camp existed in, like, the Avatar: The Last Airbender universe.
That's very much the look.
Sort of a thing. And we got our first character, Toth, who is a true warrior who's fiercely focused on her mission to catch the Nomad.
Yeah, she absolutely looks like if Toph was a firebender, kind of.
That was my first thought when I saw this.
Yeah. She looks like a pro bender on. She looks like the fire member of a pro bender team.
Absolutely. Yep. I love it. I love the design. And I also think it's very telling that she's the first character that we get to see in full, besides the little cute little rock guys. Yeah, we've seen wanted posters of the Nomad, but, like, this is the first, like, official character bit.
Talking about shipping, Trenton Dixon in the chat says, a character that looks like a combination of Toph and Zuko. Did you ship that? Because if you did, this is your dream character.
I mean, this is true.
I mean, yeah.
And,
I'd buy that.
Shoujo Sparkleman says, Toth backwards is thought. No, it's not. It's Hatot.
Coincidence? I think not.
I think, yes!
But yeah, no, given that this is the first, like, character that we're seeing, I think this is a good first impression.
Great. I'm definitely in. Like,
But I'm a little. It's interesting that they chose the time to introduce Toth. Like tomorrow is International Women's Day, and they're doing a big stream on Rooster Teeth for it. And I'm surprised that they wouldn't like just wait a day or two to be like, and your first character, which we're announcing today, boom. But we're still happy to have it.
I mean, maybe we've got more female characters coming down the way.
Yes, this is the only female character we're gonna get.
well, we've got our one. That's it. That's all
we got
get.
a token girl character. Well, speaking
I
of,
thought we weren't talking about Laser Team tonight.
Oh, snap!
Anyway.
So yeah, you mentioned the women's charity stream, and yeah, let's talk about the women's charity stream for a second, because that's actually going on tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, Central Standard Time, hosted by Ashley Jenkins, and they are raising money for the organization Girls Who Code, and that's an organization all about getting young women into the STEM field, which always a good thing in my book, and it's always nice seeing the ladies of Rooster Team really come together to kind of promote that. I cannot say how much I appreciate how vocal the female section of Rooster Teeth as a company is being here in 2018.
It's been so wonderful so far, and the fact that they have this space to do it and that they're being supported in it.
Yeah, it's one of these things where as a female fan of this company for X amount of years, I won't say how many, but as somebody who very much loved this, 10 years ago, and going on into however many years of fandom I've been in with Rooster Teeth, it really means a lot that they are taking those steps to promote women in the company and to just promote women in their shows and just women in general. That means a lot.
Yeah, but also the fact that there was a time in the company where all merchandise was like male cut or unisex cut, and while that is cheaper, I know that from a production standpoint, it shouldn't have taken as long as it did to get women's cuts on stuff, and the fact that we've surpassed that, and now we just have female leaders in the company as designers for their own clothing lines is a completely different step in the right direction.
Absolutely. It's better late than never, but it's more than a lot of other companies are doing. And like I said, I'm very excited to see everything that's coming down the way in 2018. Okay, so finally, the horror movie fan in me is rejoicing because even though this trailer has been available for a little bit, they posted it on Twitter earlier this morning because South by Southwest is coming up. So guys, what we have here is the trailer for Bloodfest.
Here we go.
Let's take a look.
We were made for Bloodfest.
Bloodfest.
This is gonna be the best night of my life.
So weird because that's Peter Pan. It's so weird. And also Peter's friend from Homecoming.
This has Universal Horror Nights written all over it for anybody
Oh
who's...
dear
it does.
God.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, the guy with the chainsaws.
They're gonna set up.
If you know the rules, you just might make it.
We're gonna die here.
Yep.
As a virgin, I probably have a fighting chance.
How dare.
Debatable.
I've never been with a woman.
Not in person, no.
What do we do?
Clowns are wearing checkout. Now, I'm not one for horror movies, but supporting Rooster Teeth, and this looks like a fun buckets of blood sort of thing, it's a little different.
This has fun party written all over it for me. I'm of two minds about this trailer. One, there's the part of me that just unabashedly loves it and the fact that Rooster Teeth is doing it. But then there's another part of me that I very much want to smack. It's that part that goes, well, even though you appreciate that subgenre, meta-deconstructive narratives are a little played out, don't you think? And I want to smack that part of me and says, shut up, brain.
Can I have a response to that. How long did it take to clean your monocle when it fell in your teeth?
Quite some time. time, young man.
Quite sticky here. But
It
I
was a
think,
bit of a sticky wicket.
I think RTX this year, we've had a couple of walkthrough attractions the past couple of years. I think it's Bloodfest this year.
Oh my god!
You bring up a really good idea. Like, instead of, like... Also, there was a little quick bit of news that that was on the gaming side we talked about on Inventory Full, but in case nobody knew, there's an independent horror game called Bendy and the Ink Machine that RT Games is picking up and publishing.
That's fantastic!
So the PC version of Episode 4 is coming out, which will complete the game, and then later this year, thanks to RT Games, the full experience is going to be released on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch.
That is marvelous.
Yeah, but Bendy already has a huge install base. They have merch at Hot Topic. It's ridiculous. This is one of those horror games that is totally taken off.
It's taken off, yeah, for sure.
How does nobody know about this news, Mala? Chroma's freaking out. Cam's freaking out. Fia's freaking out. But
Clearly, you guys need to watch Inventory Full. Get it together.
Inventory Full live 6 p.m. Monday nights on twitch.tv/inventoryfullpt. We stream games throughout the week as well. I also, like, you're in the middle of Doki Doki Literature Club. I streamed Them's Fightin' Herds the other day, which is the formerly My Little Pony fighting game, which is now Beasts of Burden.
Has nothing
Dude.
to do with My Little Pony.
But Lauren Faust designed the characters after they got the cease and desist, and the character designs are really flippin' adorable. They're really cute. Anyway,
amazing.
I'm not delaying talking about shipping.
Oh, why would you ever do such a thing?
Nope.
All right.
No.
One last bit of business before we get started. We have a little bit of an announcement for you AfterBuzz fans. Do you want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of your life? For those who do, we got a podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder Maria Menounos and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life, from health and wellness to career and relationships, finance, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you never had. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know that it was Rooster Teeth Reviews who got you there.
#RT Reviews.
#RT Reviews. Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition. Check it out.
Yeah, it really is a great show. There's a small number of you, including Pepsi fan, who's already heard my thing for this, but she has a close tie to the WWE, so she has some of the leaders in the women's division. I'm pretty sure she's had Stephanie on, but she's had a lot of people from the WWE side, and I would just give it a listen. And it's one of those great things it's one of those great talk shows that you can listen to, and I highly recommend it. While we're here, do we want to do iTunes?
Yes, if you have it pulled up, go for it.
So, we have one review. Remember, if you go to our iTunes, you look for Rooster Teeth Reviews, you leave a review. Not only do we read it on the show, but it helps tell our producers that we're doing something right here. And we've had a pretty steady amount of reviews, except for last week. Ignore last week. But here we have a review from Slade's Nephew 1, RWBY Rocks and So Do You. That's a 5-star. I've been a longtime fan and just now figured out how to leave a review on the app. A huge Monty Ohm fan since the first episode of Dead Fantasy. Wow. And I'm so excited that his dream of a wonderful, colorful anime show has been visualized and continues to be amazing. Getting to get the geeking out along with you on the after show, and it has just deepened my love for it. And Mark, you turned me into a fan of Cam Camp as well. Shout out. Also, it's with a K, not a C. I love you. Now for a little bit of fan dreams. I would love to see Team Stark's day, and in particular, I thought it would be amazing to see a Full Metal reference by having Crow have a rival who's voiced by Mustang. Travis Willingham, of course you mean, who's already involved in Camp. That's not. I think he was a White Fang guard.
Yes.
No. He was the captain of the ship that Torchwick took over and crashed into at the end of season 3.
Yeah, that's a reference waiting to happen.
I've been hoping to hear someone say short stack since Vic appeared in season 3. Also, would love to see if you could get the fans of your after show to create a little mini manga of your team in Pekin. Love you all and can't wait for season 6. Team Dark, that's DARC, signing out. Yeah, I mean, we've got an arc from 24-Hour Call Center, who's a favorite of ours, and go support them on their Twitter account. Addison is great. Y'all are wonderful, and we have had art before. If you want to submit art, just use #RT Reviews, and oh boy, do we like it.
We do.
Anyway,
Like a lot.
thank you for the review. If you haven't left a review yet, please do. And especially after this episode, we're going to get some.
Mark is just a pit of despair over here.
Coffee.
It's like a black hole of incoming, I guess, tolerance, because we're about to, like, it's fun when you are about to, like, when you're that person who is surrounded by people who are about to fangirl or boy out on something you could care less about. That's what Mark is experiencing right now.
Okay, so as a transition, let me just get my thoughts of shipping out of the way.
Go for it.
I enjoy following the narrative structure of any media, whether it's TV, movies, cartoons, whatever, and I don't search for those other relationships as to be as romantic or this or that. I just sort of follow the trail that the writers, directors, performers, and everything. I just sort of follow that as it goes. So it's just never been a thing for me. And there are some folks that this doesn't hurt anybody, and it's not necessarily something that I hate or loathe. But sometimes when like things are forced. And people just liked seeing two characters on screen. That's fine, but like the forcing of any relationship, whether it be gay, straight, three people, whatever, it's like, well, that's not the story they're telling. You're not listening.
There's something to be said about pandering to your audience. And I feel like Rooster Teeth as a company does a really good job of sort of walking that line of like fan service, but in a way that makes sense, and sometimes it's forced, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's enjoyable, sometimes it seems out of place, but for the most part I feel like they still walk that line really, really well. And
I agree, and by incorporating all of the ship names as the team up moves, like that's a great way to go, we see you, and while still moving forward. So it's sort of the thing where the folks that go a little bit too overboard sort of sour me on it. Now I will say I have shipped once. In recent memory, I might have done whatever. But it was actually on an episode of WWE television. In NXT, there's my favorite performer at the moment is a man by the name of Velveteen Dream. He exudes sexual energy. like he's, without saying like he comes out to like this deep bass funk, and he's kind of like Prince, like off-brand Prince. And there's another guy by the name of Aleister Black, who is sort of like this calm, cool, collected guy who gets into his opponent's heads. And what he does to sort of like take people out of it is he sits down in Indian position, in a cross-legged position, and just looks at his opponent. Dream, though, he usually gets down on all fours and like escapes out of the ring backwards. So the moment that happened was Aleister sits down in the ring, and Dream got this close to him, and the crowd made a noise that I could only describe as outward sexual confusion. to which I immediately responded, "Kiss!" And it would have made total sense because of the long story short that he's trying to get him to notice him and
notice me sometimes.
Call him by his like acknowledge me, call me by my name, this, that, the other thing, and was trying to do
Wrestling is like anime.
Oh, 100%. Are you kidding? Like fast-paced fighting and fireballs, but that's different. But yeah, that is like the one time where I was like, I think I just shipped something. And they had a new feeling. And they had an amazing match. Blah. Anyway, that is the one time that I shipped something.
Well,
now I will check out for the following 30 minutes.
I'm really glad you shared that story. Is he gone? Is he gone? All right, great.
It's out of here.
Gloves are coming off.
That was a scarf.
Yes, it was.
For audio listeners, that was a scarf, not glove.
That was a scarf, not at all gloves. All right, let's get to it because our hashtag is already filled up with fan art of one particular ship.
I will babysit.
Beautiful.
Y'all talk.
All right.
Y'all have stuff to say. I'm done.
I feel like our shipping history or our thoughts on it, I feel like we don't need to really go into that. Let's just go ahead and dive straight in. We are going to be breaking down our favorite ships, our favorite crack ships, our favorite villain ships, our least favorite ships, and what we predict the Endgame ships are actually going to be, which are very different than, say, what your favorite ship is. I definitely understand how, like, your favorite ship can easily, like, wanting that to be Endgame, but for that particular category, I ask, let's be realistic. All right. Because not necessarily for Rooster Teeth, but Mark and I often talk about another show where fans are very insistent on a particular ship. Doesn't matter which one, but they yell things about why isn't it canon yet. And guys, we're not here to talk about that. I'm just saying that that's a thing that happens with fandoms.
That's
like a lot.
Big thing.
So let's not waste any time. Okay, Stacey, favorite RWBY ship. Now, let's
Just
Hold on.
one.
Hold on.
no. We're listing off a couple because I feel like I have at least 3 in each of these categories.
I'm going to start with an easy one because this was like my ship for a real long time.
Go for it.
Arcos, like John and Pyrrha, just let me cry for a while, guys. It's gonna be okay.
There's something inherently attractive about doomed romance. Like I told, this is in my favorites as well. This is definitely, if not like the ship that I really wanted to happen. It's just that whole aspect of like the thing I appreciate about it is that the reason she's in love with him is because he's the first one in a long time to treat her like a person, like a human being. Mm-hmm. He's completely oblivious to it, which is super frustrating. But just the fact that he talks to her like a normal person, and that's instantly why she fell in love with him. Like, there's something really endearing and sweet about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I love that ship. And a lot of it has to do with Pyrrha because I just think,
of course,
Pyrrha gets what she wants. She deserves everything that she wants. If she wants to be with John, then she gets to be with John.
She deserves it. She's a hero.
She should get what she wants. Let her be happy.
This is the nature of like this is why games like Undertale and Doki Doki, like why there are a lot of fan games where all the characters get happy endings. There's just something really alluring about tragedy in a narrative, and so yeah, this ship, it's like I want to fix it, make it better.
Question from an idiot on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So when I think of ship, when I think of the term shipping, I always think of it as something that's not presented in the media.
Not necessarily true. That's a fair distinction to make. Shipping is just when you personally want to see two characters end up together.
Okay.
Whether or not that ship is canonical, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you see two characters on screen, even if they are already boyfriend and girlfriend, or if like the show is setting them up to be a couple, I think what happens is the term is often used in a connotation that suggests, no, these characters are not meant to be together, but because fans are crazy, they're trying to shove them together anyway. Mm-hmm. That being said, okay,
yeah,
let's move on. Stacey, what would you say is next on your list?
Next on my list, I mean, another pretty straight and narrow one along the lines of where we might be going is Renora. I mean,
absolutely.
Friend and Nora.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes.
See, you ship.
This is.
I have a plebeian mind for shipping. I just don't. It's like I don't get it.
Now this is one that the show has pretty much all but confirmed. Like they often talk about it as like, yeah, they're a couple. It's just it's in everything but name at this point. Especially at the end of last season when he takes her hand, I guess you could make the argument that is more platonic and friendship, but I'm pretty sure that the show is leaning pretty heavily into, no, it's meant to be romantic. They are just in a situation where they just can't be a lovey-dovey couple.
Or they're finding the right dark corners to be a lovey-dovey couple. And we
They're
don't
just
see
very good at it.
It's going to be one of those cutting room floor deleted scenes like they do on Ruby Chibi.
Every time.
Still in the bit. Living the bit. Live the bit.
I probably should have prefaced this entire episode by saying, guys, this is not a bit.
Yeah, no, this isn't a bit.
We are 100% serious for this episode. Yeah, no, I have to agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the friends becoming, like, falling for each other trope. That's one of my personal favorites, you know, for reasons.
For reasons, it's unimportant reasons.
There is so much
Oh boy.
rose garden art.
We'll talk about
And
it.
actually, it's mostly from one person, so
Hey, bring it all on.
we'll get there.
Do you have any more
Well,
in the favorite category?
I have a couple more that are kind of more on the peripheral, but yeah. So my next favorite is Bumblebee.
Of course.
I mean, come on.
Come
on.
Our top three are exactly the same.
Yeah, should be. No.
And may I just say to the people who have been asking for the past 4 seasons of us covering RWBY, yes, AfterBuzz TV officially supports the Bumblebee ship. If you don't get that joke, you're listening on iTunes.
Yeah, the fact that Mark slipped it into a song he wrote. You claim not to understand shipping, but
He knows what he's doing.
You know what's up.
I know. I'm living that Bumblebee life. Like,
Okay.
So yes, this is another one where on the one hand, depending on how the show handles it, it could very well walk that line, Mark, that we were talking about, where it's like, oh, this is what the fans want, let's pander to them. I feel like this, out of all the ones we've talked about so far, is the one most in danger of that. But at the same time, I could absolutely see it becoming an organic part of the story, especially where we left off this past season.
right. I think with some of the things that especially were introduced this season, it has become a much more, oh no, this is actually a thing we could grow into without it feeling forced, without it feeling something that, you know, just fans were like, no, but they're next to each other, they love each other. And it has grown. I mean, it never really was just that in the first place. And it has just continued to kind of grow with that. And now we have more contextualized kind of, oh, hey, we could do that.
Yeah, I remember the first time, this is before either of you were on the show, but the first time we talked to Monty, one of the fan questions was whether or not there was going to be more LGBT relationship representation within the show proper. And of course, the show was in season 2. It was in its infancy still.
Some would argue that it still is.
Yeah, and
Right.
yeah, we're still only in the middle of the second story arc, so to speak. So it's one of those things where at the time they were like, we're writing teenagers, you know, kids who are still finding out who they really are, and they're finding out things about themselves. If we want to go that route, but we don't want it to be forced. We want it to be organic and natural, because doing any less than that would be like talking down to or belittling said groups. So I think it's been very clear that Monty's wanted representation from the get-go. So it's nice to see the show exploring that with characters like Elia. And actually, we haven't talked about it, but in the AMA that they did a couple of weeks ago, they mentioned that they wanted to have a line in there about the pilot from this season, where they wanted to have a line where he mentioned a boyfriend back home, and then they thought better of it because they were like, oh, we can't make
And
our
then you're
first
gonna kill
canonical
him.
gay character. We can't then murder him.
Immediately go down. Oh.
But then he ended up
fair.
being super popular, and they were like, we missed our chance.
No.
Really quickly, Danger in chat, what up? It's kind of on a storyline thing. It would be so good if the daughter of the new Faunus Brotherhood leader, Gira, was dating a human.
Oh.
So that, actually, I like the idea of it becoming a political decision and that causing a rift between Yang and Blake, if that is in the future, of like, you're only doing this because of your dad, or like your dad told you to do it, and then that could make it a deeper story of Blake having to be honest about her feelings if those feelings are there.
Like, go ahead.
No.
Oh, yeah, just have there be political and social connotations to it. And yeah, having that subtext there would be very interesting. So yeah, I think again, Bumblebee, fantastic. Although speaking of Blake, this is sort of on my periphery. I kind of low-key ship Blake with just about everyone. I'm kind of pro her and Elia. I'm kind of pro her and Sun, and I'm kind of pro her and Yes.
So I totally get where you're coming from.
So hold on, I'm doing some research. So you're interested in an OT3.
Here's the
Well,
thing.
this would be an OT4.
Fair.
Here's the thing. Elia is they confirmed in the AMA that Elia is a lesbian, not bisexual. So like an OT3 sort of situation, it doesn't really work. But yeah, I would be, the truth be told, I would be fine if she ended up at any of them. I ship Bumblebee a little bit more, but every time I see her with Sun, I'm like, I could see that just being a nice friendship, or I could see that becoming more.
I mean, I agree with you. I think this season kind of tipped me towards I want an amazing Blake and Sun friendship. Like, just two people who are absolutely comfortable with each other without having like that romantic tension that you expect in these situations. And like I don't know, I just, the way that they have come to act around each other, especially the way Sun is kind of like her guidance to okay, you go be nice now.
Yeah.
go be social for a while. It's so precious, and I love Sun so much.
I feel that 100%, but then we got the reveal for Elia, and now that she's redeemed, I absolutely want her in some scenario to be happy.
Yes, but is that going to be with Blake? Is I guess my thing, because almost now it feels to me, if now all of a sudden, Elia made this big revelation to Blake, and then Blake goes, oh, well, okay, I guess I could like you. I feel like that has the potential to be more forced.
I don't want to promote harmful behavior either, because Elia acted out of jealousy for a good chunk of time. And we talked about this a little bit before the show, of like, there's no ships that I think in this show that we out and out hate, but there are certain steps I think that are required for more of them, where it's like, hey, I'm not 100% on board with this ship, but if it's going to become canon, like, these are the requirements for me to be okay with it.
We could get there.
Yeah, we could get behind it.
I don't know. I think Ilya deserves like a whole fresh start and a whole new, like, brand new budding love. Like,
that's fair. I think Ilya deserves a nice girl.
let her step out to something new. And
there's a lot of and there's a lot to be said about the power of forgiveness, but also there's a lot to say about like unhealthy relationships too. And because Elia doesn't have anybody and was in such a bad place for a long time, I feel like she needs to find herself before jumping into a relationship. But I want her to be happy.
I know.
All right.
We'll get her to happiness. One way or another.
Any other favorite ships before we move on into the next category?
I'm kind of into Crow and Winter lately.
Yeah. Thanks, Ruby Chibi.
That sort of made, because their relationship that we've seen on the show is very antagonistic, but we don't know their past. We don't know how long they've been associated with each other. We don't know
where the animosity comes from.
Right. We don't know if maybe Crow saw a cute girl across from the bar, turns around, she's in full military regalia, and he's like, well, this changed my night. Like, we don't know. So that's a backstory that I'm interested in. The fact that they went there, Tom. The fact that they went there with that Ruby Chibi segment was like, is this the payoff? Is this what? Or are we going to get more? This is weird. I'm sorry. The past 5 minutes, I've been in that spreadsheet. Just like...
There's some good names in there.
It's very comprehensive.
And there's some very odd
names.
combinations. I love it.
I would have liked
a couple that I would have
liked a few infographics to go with it. Truth be told.
Pie graphs. And,
All right, for the sake of time, let's move on. Favorite crack ship? I'm going to go ahead and get the ball rolling by saying... go ahead,
What
Mark.
is a crack ship?
A crack ship is a silly ship. It's not one meant to be taken seriously.
Okay.
So mine is Ironwood and my self-insert OC. Do not steal. No. I'm 100%, that is 100% a joke.
That makes a perfect crack ship, though. That's it. You heard it here. That's Megan's crack ship.
And now we get art.
Please.
Okay. On a more serious note,
What's the ship name?
do not steal. Oh, it's steal E.
Oh my god! Oh, and it's a fun too because it's an OC.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Good night,
okay.
everybody.
Okay. My real crack ships are Mercury and Hand Puppet, and and Mike and Marty. Those are my two favorite crack ships. The Grimm.
Oh, the Grimm.
Yeah,
Okay,
the two
that's
Grimm,
right.
Mike
That
and
took me a
Marty.
second.
Go ahead, Stacey.
All right, so hear me out. I think that one of the characters in this ship is a very comprehensive guy, and is a kind of a completionist and would want to complete the whole set. So the best crack ship here is Tai Yang and Crow, obviously.
We are so sorry for their behavior. Oh.
Now this is another joke that's usually on my NXT show, but I'll say it here. And we've been canceled. Thank you so much.
I have a comprehensive argument that I will not make.
To which Malachroma responds, "That's not a crack ship, that's canon."
Fair.
I
will take that.
In Chippy, they do bicker like an old married couple.
That's all I'm saying.
In terms of ships, I know this is crack ships and it's just super silliness and goddamn puns. But what do y'all think of incestual ships?
No.
See, I have very few things that I just will steer very, very clear of. That is one of them.
Because they're technically brother-in-laws.
Okay, no, familial, like blood relation.
familial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, were Raven and Ty ever actually married?
We don't know.
So
but we have not been given any indication that they were.
yeah. So, yeah, you have no idea how anti-incest I am as a trope.
I am too. Like, anytime I would just...
I hate the fact that we even have to bring this up!
This is a quick story. It's one of the things that keeps me off of, like, fan art, unless people send it to me, is when I would look for Gravity Falls fan art.
No!
And see terrible things. Without hesitation. It's just garbage. And I'm really happy that everybody in chat feels the same way.
Yeah. If you go back to like a year and a half ago or something on my Instagram, there's a picture of me going, "Hey TV, stop the incest," because it saturated my media for a good long while, and I didn't like it to begin with. So the fact that I was surrounded by it, real gross, and I hate it. And we're moving.
So to get back on track, may I give
absolutely
a try at this whole crack shipping thing?
Go for it.
Join us.
I ship Nora and her hammer. Moving on.
Yeah, that is the ideal crack ship. He's got it.
I'm figuring it out, everybody.
Well done. All right. Any more crack
What
ships?
is going on?
I mean, I guess
that's the big one. Right?
Yeah, one of my silly crack. It's not so much a crack ship; it's just kind of a silly on the side thing. But it's totally down for the sea monkeys.
They're fun.
Pink Geek 008 on Max on Twitter says my crack ship is Ozpin and his mug.
I love it.
And
He's
boy,
very touchy-feely with that.
does it get its attention.
I'm addicted to caffeine. Anyway, all right, yeah, let's move on to our villainous roster. Now, we haven't had a ton of sort of villain couples, although, you know, I'm not going to rule that out for future stuff because, like,
well, you already said Cinder Puppet and Mercury.
Mercury and Cinder Puppet for sure. I'm gonna say, can I postulate this to the panel? Am I allowed to ship Adam with the sweet embrace of death because I'd super love him to die? Or is that a crack ship?
To be fair, one of my ships was Adam with everyone's fists, so I have that in my notes. So yeah, you can ship it.
The last one that I'll mention, Lord Jeremiah says Ooblex canister with Ozpin's mug.
Yes, that is the best. 100%.
Crack
I
shipping
think
at its finest.
Okay.
I'm starting to see the appeal.
Now
It's a good time.
here are my
say
two.
that.
Here
Okay.
are my two villain ships. Neo and Torchwick. We never got anything overtly romantic, but I think they make a cute, fun pair.
I agree.
Caitlin Geddes, Gelato.
Yes. Yeah, that's their ship name.
That's adorable.
I like it.
Her reasoning being, look at them.
Now here's
fair.
one that I put with a little asterisk because it could potentially be problematic. Cinder and Emerald. It's fairly clear that Cinder is the most important person in the world to Emerald, and that the idea that she may be dead at the end of this last season is something that devastates Emerald. The reason I say it might be problematic isn't so much because they're villains, it's because that I feel like Cinder, it's unreciprocated. I feel like Emerald is in love with Cinder, and that Cinder is just using her as means to an end. So, like, I don't see this ending well.
Right. Yeah, there's a huge power imbalance. That was mine also. And I mean, Chaos Emerald is the best ship
Yes!
in.
It is the best
It's
ship
a
I've
go.
ever-
Chaos Emerald.
It's good. And I mean, yes, definitely on Emerald's side, I think it's pretty clear. But Cinder is a whole other story, and I don't even think she thinks about that.
Yeah, I feel like she probably looks at Emerald and Mercury more as tools than people or companions. Or, I don't know, if there is something there, I don't think the series has explored it fully yet.
Right.
So, how about you, Mark? Any villains you would like to see be...
ready.
Junior and his goons. I don't know. Is this the end of the segment? Because if it's not, give me a minute.
we are
and I'll-
gonna move on after this.
Then let's move on. Because
Okay.
why not?
Now, least favorite ships, and I feel like some of you are gonna hate me for what I'm about to say. I'm not a fan of Rose Garden.
So I am conditionally into it. I really need clarification
List
on
the
how,
conditions.
on how like Oz's presence operates, because that gets very problematic very quickly.
Yeah, here's the thing. Oscar on his own and Ruby, they're both very cute. I feel like there's only a slight age difference there. I feel like that's not the thing. It's the fact that there's this millennia-old man in Oscar's brain.
I was gonna say
This is a big issue.
I didn't think a millennia versus 16. You consider that a small age gap?
Nothing. Come on.
No, that's
For Oz, that's why I'm not shipping Oz with anyone. He's an old man.
Yeah. So, I mean, if
Yeah.
we get very clear guidelines as to how that works, I could be super into that.
Or if, I don't know, Oz wanted to find another person to inhabit.
Great. Leave Oscar, let them go.
I don't think he can do that until Oscar dies. But for me, that's why I'm like, I get kind of a little skeevy, because even when Oscar and Ruby are being very sweet, there's always this old man that's in the room, and that's creepy.
So, some clarification from Rose Garden shippers. Thank you, everybody.
Please.
Yes.
David Yenestad in chat and Fia, they're talking about just Oscar.
Then that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. As it's and this is what we were talking about a couple steps needing to be required. Oscar and Ruby, I think, is fine. Ozpin still being there is where the problem is.
Yeah, a couple of things. Cam Griffin in chat says, "Don't worry, Oscar, I'm totally not here." And Malachroma brings up a very good point. If the Yu-Gi-Oh fandom can navigate a 5,000-year-old spirit complicating their ship, the fandom can do it too.
Hey, fandom is extremely powerful. I do not doubt that.
Also, millennia old.
I have no doubt in terms of like the power, the power of like, I guess, mental gymnastics of a fandom. My other least favorite one is Weiss and Jean, not because I hate it, but because this is more of a remnant of season 1 for me. Because he might not even feel romantically inclined towards her anymore. You know, that might be kind of a crush that he's over after losing Pyrrha. But in all honesty, I don't like it because in season 1, it was very much presented as her saying no, 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 and him not listening or acknowledging that. And I don't like the idea of that behavior being rewarded. That being said, Kara has said in the past that she would absolutely love it if Weiss gave Jean a chance. And like she said that before at conventions and stuff like that.
And you know what would be great about that is to show that that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that a lot. You get a lot of like a movie or a series starts and somebody's in an abusive relationship or a one-sided relationship, and then it's like, oh, that person's evil. But now, and even though sometimes they're completely rational people who are just differing, but with this, we have 5 seasons of these people going through a lot and changing from the thing that they first happened, and that will also be a thing of Jean of getting to the next level of acceptance and understanding. They get a chance to have that, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, you know.
Yeah.
And I think those type of experiences need to be shown in TV more. Before we get too far away from it, Kane's Child says, I still think once Salem is defeated, Oz will go away. And that's a great point.
That's a great point.
That's a great point.
That's
Also,
a great point.
because then that's also the pin at the end of it is of, oh, we can never be together, not because of like a Romeo and Juliet thing, but because you have a millennial old spirit that can control
That's a
time.
problem.
Who can also take over your body.
Yeah.
At any time he wants to.
Gross.
Problem.
Gross.
Safe search on Tumblr.
But yeah, that's my main thing with Weiss and Jean is I just don't like the idea of bad behavior being rewarded, or conversely, Weiss being a reward for Jean being a nice guy. I don't like either of those two scenarios. But that being said, again, I don't even think that's so much as a thought for Jean right now. You know, right now the world is at stake. So,
Right.
and he clearly has other things on his mind.
Other priorities.
How about you?
So one that I've seen pop up a couple of times that I've just never been really into is like Ruby and Cinder, or any
fair.
hero villain combination. Just in general, you know, I've never been into the kind of hero villain. Oh, they're trying to kill each other. They really don't like each other, but they're in love.
Look, Helga and Arnold, that worked for one show.
Arguably very different. Like, wait, I mean, okay,
I'm just
I have to
saying,
give you that.
presumed villain with the hero. We don't know if anybody has bubblegum shrines of the opposite person.
So you're saying if Cinder has a bubblegum shrine to Ruby, that makes it okay?
Not that it makes it okay. That's it.
That it just exists.
Yeah.
I would like to see.
Because we never got the aside of the, oh, Ruby. Like, we never got that like we did.
Let's be honest. If there's a villain who has a shrine to someone, it's going to be Tyrion. You know he's got a bubblegum shrine to Salem.
Well, that's true.
Okay, we're not getting into Sundaries and Yandaries in this. For the love of God,
why
we don't
not?
have the time. Because we don't have the time.
Because
That's fair.
we're very short on time.
May I?
Go for it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking through this forsaken pit of fire that is this spreadsheet of ships. I've landed on Lisa Lavender. What the hell? And also right after that, Marcus Black, and people ship Marcus and Ruby, and it's called Bloody Rose, and that's awful. I will have to say, some of these names are ridiculous and amazing. The fact that Yang and Lisa Lavender is breaking news, I'll give you that. But for these big characters that never have an interaction whatsoever and have no business having an interaction, y'all have your fun. But anyway, please continue.
Any other least favorite ships? Because we need to move on over into Endgame and then wrap up.
Good.
Okay, so yeah, Endgame wise, let me pull up my notes. I don't know why I put them away. So yeah, these are the ships where we don't necessarily love them or hate them. It's just these are the ones that we feel like the show is going to end with. Nora and Ren for me. I feel like that's pretty blatant. And even though I said I just don't like it, Weiss and Jean, unless they find a way to somehow magically bring Pyrrha back to life, Weiss and Jean. But like I said, I feel like a couple more steps before we get there. Mm-hmm. And Bumblebee, again with an asterisk.
Right.
Those are the ones I think are Endgame.
Yeah, I think those are the most likely directions that we're going to go. This show, there are only certain characters in this show that really ever seem to pay a mind to romance or being romantically inclined. So it's hard to tell in a lot of cases. But yeah, I mean, we'll get Renora, right? If I say it, it will be true.
Like I said, it's pretty much an everything but name at this point. So if the show is going to do any ships and make them officially canon, it's going to be that one.
And I'd like to add one Port Nublack. I'm kidding. No.
That's canon.
Yeah. Yeah, what happens in Port Fort?
You know the answer to that question.
Fort. I said that wrong. But yeah, I'm just excited as new characters go to see their relationships evolve. In general, I have no specific it will be these two. Also, I've been challenged to a fight by Melachroma at RTX, so make sure to whenever we announce all of our programming, they're gonna fight me.
Awesome.
About it.
I cannot wait. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. We want to know, what are your guys' favorite ships?
Oh, we know.
What are your least favorite? Leave them in the comments below. And again, if you want to send us art, we wouldn't hate that.
Not at all.
Mark, where can people go if they want to find you?
I want to thank Keltian. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. All of the people that went to the RT Reviews hashtag and participated in the show, even though we didn't have enough time for you. Heart Shining Triple X, Miraculous Corazon, Malachroma, of course. Cam being just a jerk and putting pictures of boats in it. And everybody who's joined us live. If you want to talk about this more with me, I guess I'll be around. You can find me on Twitter at Donica. You can follow the team at ABTV Rooster Team. And if there is a desire to do this type of an episode for another show in the Rooster Team, I don't want to talk about Red versus Blue ships or Cam shit. I don't want to talk about Cam shit.
No.
They're children. They're children.
Little
No.
ABTs.
But when Genlock rolls around, guys,
We can ship all the things.
I will say, if Issa's not busy, then maybe we'll do Cam.
nice.
But yeah, Mark Donica, thanks for coming. I didn't see you there.
Unlike Mark, I always want to talk about shipping, so come talk about shipping with me everywhere at Stacey Shuttles.
As I said before, let Katie know what you guys ship, and I'm sure she'd be happy to hear your guys' thoughts. Follow her on Twitter at Kiaxet, Kiaxet. I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I do a lot of stuff. Just follow me on Twitter.
And join our group on the RT site.
Yes. Follow the whole team at ABTV Rooster Team. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all next week.
The madness is over.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Yes.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.